do. I don't know if I
Got
do.
a little weird thing going
I
here.
have some answers. I don't know if I can tell you them.
Tell us something.
Ask me.
Well, Candace was just telling us that we're going to see more of Iris as a reporter
Yes.
this season. Can you talk more about Iris before me? That's something that really means a lot to fans as a reporter.
In order to become a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, you have to have a media empire. Well, she doesn't, but she needs one, so she's going to have to grow one this season. What does that mean? It means new sets. It means more employees, finally, for the first time, and we're going to meet some of these people in season 6. I'm very excited about some of the new employees that'll be working for the Citizen, and seeing Iris actually in charge and as a boss of her paper.
It's so great to see her like the boss of Tamara. That's leadership.
You know, with the crossover this year, I mean, obviously the crossover is a big deal every year.
Yeah.
2 questions on this is, 1, what's the overall feeling about Crisis on Infinite Earths being it? And 2, how much of a pain in the ass is it? So,
oh, we could talk all day about that. But I'll be honest with you. I think Crisis happening when it's happening now has turned out to be the biggest blessing for this show possible. Because what it's doing for us is we have something that has to be dealt with in the middle of our season. We know it's going to air in fall, in December, whatever it is, right? So we have to drive towards that. So it gave us a season that broke very neatly into kind of 3 sections. Crisis, building up to the dread that's hanging over them, what's going to happen, and where's the monitor, and what is he going to promise or not promise, what's going to happen to Oliver, all these things. And then Crisis itself, which is its own self-contained kind of mini-series. But what it did for us was, what's post-Crisis even look like? We've been waiting for 5.5 years. We've been waiting for 5.5 years with this newspaper holographic thing hanging over us. Well, we're here now. It's not 2024, it's 2019. Once we get past that, it's a whole new game. It's a whole new world, and I'm a very comic book geeky guy. So let the geeky comic book games begin, starting in post-Crisis, and I think you're going to see that in season 6, a little bit more of a comic book feel, while also deepening the character emotions.
So the comic book is really big and sprawling because I actually read it recently.
God bless you.
Occasionally, I do want to do some research. I know it's shocking, but I actually read it. So, is there anything from the comic that you wanted to do that you couldn't do, and is there anything that you wanted to do that you could do, and you were like, "Wow, we did it"?
There are things in the Crisis comic book that we wanted to do and are doing that are insanely huge and crazy. I think the scope of this is going to kind of blow people away, but also the intimacy of the character journeys. Because, I mean, we all heard what the monitor said last year to Oliver. That's a big deal. So we have to deal with that. And Oliver is Barry's mentor. What does the mentee think about that? So a lot of the things that we want to do from the comic book, you will see. Maybe not in the exact version of the comic book, because we have to update it. That was 30 years ago. And as you said, it was more of the times. As far as things that we couldn't do that we wanted to do, I can't think of anything because we're doing almost everything.
And then can you confirm, because I've heard so many different conflicting things about this, can you just confirm the logistics about how this is going to work? Is it 4 episodes, 6, or is it 3? I think I've heard like a bunch of different things.
It is 5 episodes, so it'll be just like last year, Flash and Supergirl and Green Arrow. Legends will be back. Awesome. And Batwoman is joining us, so it's the whole gang.
And was it like working on the whole Batwoman angle?
Oh gosh, I can't wait to go to the Batcave. Quite frankly, I'm gonna go on those days, and I'm gonna go see her.
Are we gonna see a real high tech Batcave? Because
I don't know.
From what you tease, it's not gonna be high tech.
I don't know. I haven't seen the pilot. I haven't even read the pilot script. I told Carolyn, who is the wonderful showrunner of Batwoman, I love your show so much, but I want to experience it as a fan, because I'm a fan first, even though this is my job that I go to every day. I want the joy in my heart because I'm Mr. Comic Book Geeky Guy. I want to experience it just like everybody watching at home. I don't even know what nights they come on, whatever night it is, right? But yeah, I want to go to the Batcave. I want to touch a Batarang. If I can put on her red wig, I'm into it.
how huge the scope of the crossover is, how has that impacted the way you're telling the first half of the season? Like, are you kind of doling out the villain of the year differently? Are you kind of introducing the new kind of Team Flash dynamic of the year? What can you speak to about that?
Great question. What it's made us do is make the villain's agenda burn so much hotter than it has in previous seasons. Because by the time you get to Crisis, stuff has to really happen. So and eventually we will, obviously, if we're going to reveal the villain at the panel and whatnot, then I think this will all make a lot more sense. But when you kind of see what we're doing, which is, I think, I'm calling this the season of thrills and chills. That's kind of the marching orders for season 6. There's a reason for that, because what Team Flash is facing with Crisis is so sad and poignant and horrific, knowing what could happen. I mean, the world might end. What does that do to our heroes? Makes them become more heroic.
But the whole point of Crisis is it's a reset. So if you're going to have a villain, doesn't he have to kind of like, well, you kept the ads for like 2 years, but doesn't he have to kind of like go away?
Anything can happen, because at the end of last season, once that newspaper started to spin wildly, all bets are off. We've been saying that 2024 was when Crisis was going to happen. It's 2019. That means no rules apply. Anything you might have known or might have thought or might have theorized about the upcoming Crisis might be true, or it might be wildly inaccurate, and that's on purpose.
Quick question, just because, sorry, you did this, so come on.